That's the moment the Party for Socialism and Liberation says was inaudible in the critical incident video showing the police shooting that killed Adam Sykes.
Today we tell Mike Brown and the ruling class that we won't be divided. We've seen these tricks before. Immigrants are not dangerous. Capitalism is.
Welcome to Naptown People's Radio, a weekly podcast brought to you by the Indianapolis branch of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. I'm your host, Danny Abdullah, and I'm joined by my comrade and co-host,
Derek Ford.
We're here to guide you through the pressing issues facing Indianapolis from the perspective of our people, not our oppressors. And as organizers involved in these issues, we're not just talking about the news, we're making it happen. Happy Women's History Month. So today is our first episode in celebration of Women's History Month. Rissa Wilson pulled up to the podcast today to talk about Indie Hope packages, as well as House Bill 285, which criminalizes unhoused individuals here in Indiana. And of course, that's including Naptown, Indianapolis. Rissa is a social worker and one of the coordinators for Hope packages. And it was really dope talking with Rissa about this during Women's History Month, but also Social Work Month as a woman and also as a social worker, as just like I am. Like it was super cool to like have that back and forth and have that dialogue. So I'm excited for everyone to hear their interview. For listeners who are not as familiar with Women's History Month, Women's History Month is celebrated in the United States every March, but like most traditions that oppressed have fought for and won, it has its origins not in the 1980 proclamation of Women's History Week by then President Jimmy Carter, nor in Congress's 1987 resolution designating March as Women's History Month. So Derek is actually going to talk with us about what are those real origins, Derek? Where does this really start?
March 8th is International Working Women's Day, and that is celebrated across the world. And that's really where its origins lie, right? Mm-hmm. And interestingly, its origins lie, you would think, in the Russian Revolution, but it's actually in the U.S. It was first celebrated. It was celebrated in the U.S. after a declaration by the Socialist Party of America. Now, keep in mind that it was before the revolution, so the Socialist Party was the only party. There was no Communist Party. In 1857, women workers from clothing and textile factories in New York City organized a mass demonstration and established their first labor union. And exactly 51 years later, 15,000 women marched through New York City's Lower East Side, condemning child labor, demanding shorter hours, better pay, etc. So in 1910, the Socialist International, or the Second International, inspired by the actions in the U.S. and also motivated by the revolutionary communist women in the Second International, declared March 8th to be International Women's Day or International Working Women's Day. And so, yeah, it's really a day, that teaches us that when we fight, we win. And it was very important to the Russian Revolution because that is what kicked off the February Revolution, right? They overthrew the Tsar. And so, which many people don't know, that it was actually working women who started the Russian Revolution. And then in the U.S., once after the Russian Revolution, once the Communist Party was established, then we see actually the first theorizations and enactments of, what today is known as intersectionality, but these are much more precise, and they were based in, Marxist theory and practice, right, of organizing the triply oppressed, right, the triply exploited Black women worker. So I know that throughout this month, we're going to be talking about our favorite, revolutionary women. But I'll just say that, that's a little teaser for some of mine.
Love it. Okay. All right. No. And I mean, is it a surprise? This is kind of like a rhetorical question, but like, is it a surprise that, it has, its roots in socialist history, in like the workers, and that has been essentially erased, right? Like, I don't think people really were even talking about Women's History Month, on a large scale up until maybe a few years ago. It was kind of like lost a little bit, I would say. Like, that's not something I learned about in school personally. I think my kids, like they learn about it, but that's not a thing that I learned about in school at all. So I think we're getting back to the roots.
Yeah, I mean, it might have coincided with the overturning of Dobbs, or the Dobbs decision.
Yeah,
the overturning of Roe v. Wade, especially.
Yeah. That's a really good point. That I don't think I thought about, but yeah, it could have. I think maybe it did coincide with that. I gotta look that up. I gotta look it up. But yeah,
next episode we'll have a definitive answer.
There we go, for sure. All right.
Cool. Well, I for one am looking forward to this interview, which we will get to after a short break.
And we're back with Naptown People's Radio. So pulling up to the podcast today is Rissa Wilson. Wilson is a social worker and the coordinator for Indie Hope Packages. So Rissa is coming in today to talk to us about Hope Packages, as well as some legislation that is in the works, but also has passed, criminalizing homeless people in Indiana and in Indianapolis as a whole. But, happy Social Work Month, comrade.
Thank you.
Yes.
Happy Social Work Month to you, too.
Thank you. Yes, to Black women social workers here. And it is Social Work Month and Women's History Month.
Yes,
look at that.
And we just wrapped up Black History Month.
And it's Melanin March. Okay. Look at this. Look at this. There's so much happening here. I love this. This is amazing. This is going to be amazing. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We was rapping before we started recording, and I was like, damn, we could have recorded this whole thing.
I was thinking that. I was like,
I was like, we gotta get it going, because this is actually like a really good conversation we're having. So for listeners who maybe this is their first episode, maybe they're not familiar with, Indie Hope Packages, can you give a synopsis of, what is Indie Hope Packages? How did it come to be? And how did you come to be a part of Hope Packages?
Yeah, great questions. Indie Hope Packages is a political direct aid program. So we operate off of a 10-point program inspired by the Black Panther Party. But we seek to not only provide aid for our unhoused neighbors and vulnerable populations in the city, but also educating our community members in how we can kind of empower each other to fight back against a system that is trying to destroy us and criminalize us, apparently, for not having homes.
Yeah. So with that, how did you get involved in Hope Packages? How did that come to be?
So I actually started with the Party for Socialism and Liberation a year ago in November. And I remember going, one of my first few events when I was coming around to the center was a Hope Packages event. And I thought it was super cool. Danny and I had talked earlier before we started recording about having that experience of when we were younger, going out and same thing, providing meals and stuff like that for homeless people. I did that a lot with my father growing up. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is awesome. And I really loved the extra political education too, of why we're even doing this in the first place. What is causing, homelessness? How is this harmful to not only our unhoused neighbors, but the whole city as well? And really, really loved it. Got into the party, and then, just took the charge.
Absolutely. No.
Took the task. Here I am.
One of my favorite things about Hope Packages is that it was not it's not PSL started this. This is
Right.
a PSL thing, right? Like
Right.
it is volunteers from, like, you don't have to be a socialist or a
Mhm.
communist to be
Yeah.
a part of Hope Packages. It was actually started right by
Yes.
Indie 10 Black Lives Matter
Yep.
as well as PSL. And so, there's going to be times where like the people who are volunteering do not,
Right.
don't agree on everything.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Which is okay, right? Like, what a boring world we would live in if we agreed on every single
Yes.
thing. I mean, I guess it would be a little bit, maybe it would be nice.
Tad easier.
Yeah, it would be a little easier. But like that's okay that we
Right.
don't always agree on everything. Can you explain a little bit for those who don't know, like what is the difference between like a direct political aid program and mutual aid? You went into it a little bit of like,
Yeah.
that education piece. but-
Yes. Yeah. So with the direct political aid, again, right, like we are inspired by the Black Panther Party's 10-point program and their like free food service programs.
Right.
So they knew that like it wasn't just enough to feed the people. We also had to like educate the people, but also be self-sustaining.
Absolutely.
So like, running those free clinics, running the free food programs, really just providing a space where people are not relying on a government anymore, that again is not trying to help them, but coming into
Right.
their community themselves.
Right.
And so that's really our goal we would love to provide regular distributions and like hot food, things like that. And so we're building there, we're going to get there, but that's kind of what sets us apart from just mutual aid of, just kind of going out and giving things, which both are great and they do help. But the political direct aid kind of just drives us a little bit further in terms of I now have the knowledge of and the words to know like what is kind of oppressing me, and
Right,
because of that
right.
I am now more powerful and can go out and help others and kind of build those communities.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that part that you talked about, right? A government that is not helping us,
Right.
right? Like, and like that specifically is important, right? Because if we are, the point of, being revolutionaries is to fight for a government that is going to be helping us. But right now, we're at a point where it is the people helping one another, which it's always the people who are helping one another, right? The government doesn't actually
Do anything
to support the people.
Right. It's the
at
social
least-
workers, it's us.
Yeah, it is.
They have us out there. Yes.
It is. It's the social workers. This is related but unrelated. Like I think about, when people are having like mental health crises, which, homeless people are often blamed for like mental health crises. But when people are having mental health crises, like, and the cops show up, unless they're trained, which I think more and more are being trained in that, but it's still nowhere near where it should be.
Yeah.
Like they tend to, end up dead, right? Herman Whitfield III is a very great example of that.
Yes.
Parents called because he was having a mental health crisis, and instead of helping their child, they killed him.
Killed them. Yeah.
And then lied about it.
Yes. Yeah.
And then lied about it. Whereas, I have definitely de-escalated men who were
Right.
250
Okay.
pounds,
Yeah.
6'5".
Okay, community mental health.
Like, yeah, right. And,
Yes.
Again, it's like, it's the people, right?
Right.
It's the people that are like showing up and helping. And I don't have a gun. I don't get to take a gun
Right.
with me to work.
Yeah. And you were
don't-
still able
you
to
know.
de-escalate without a gun. That's
Yeah,
so wild.
I
that
know.
happened.
That's so strange, It was like hearing voices and saying he's gonna kill me, and I was like, "Hey, dog,
Hey.
you gotta chill out.
Let's just pause.
You gotta chill
Yeah.
out." I didn't say it quite like that,
Yeah.
but I can't cuss on here.
Of course.
So just but Hope Packages is another example of that, of like the people showing up, the people like
Yes.
being there for one another.
Right. Self-sustaining.
Yes. So you kind of touched on the 10-point program.
Right.
A lot of it is about like political aid. Can you, for those who don't know, and like you don't have to say every
Okay,
bullet,
I was like, wait.
you don't have to go into depth, but like what are those 10 points that,
Right.
that we're hitting on with that 10-point program?
Okay, so on our 10-point program, we have a couple of different things. Wanting to end gentrification, so that's just wanting to see our communities not be taken over by capital interests, pushing poor people out so that rich people can move in, building public housing. Again, we actually have so much public housing. We can house literally everyone. Making housing accessible, free education for all, ending food apartheid. This one was a cool one, and one that when I started as a coordinator for Indie Hope Packages, it was September. So I had just gotten back from the Palestine conference in Detroit, and super inspired. It was amazing. And really wanted to focus on this end food apartheid, especially because in September, that's when we were hearing a lot about the possibility of a SNAP being cut in November. So it was a very scary time. And I know that when the 10-point program was first created, it was end food deserts, but changed it to apartheid because deserts are more of like a natural occurring thing. Absolutely. And to have a food desert is not natural. Absolutely. And we know that like the control of food is an apartheid in some way, shape, or form. Love that one. I feel like that one's got a good, strong place in my heart. But making housing a human right. We want to expand public spaces. Protecting tenants and residents. I think this one's a big one because we don't have any protections here for renters, tenants. I have so many therapy clients. Oh my gosh. Danny had reposted this TikTok. And it was like going to go do my notes, and the only thing that's standing in between me and my clients is HIPAA. Because I will get those landlords, like all of my clients' landlords, like please no, I'm coming for you. Absolutely. Because wow, like they are just not protected at all, literally at all. We really, really need more protections, and then funding real public safety. So not pumping all of this money into the IMPD, relying, again, on our community to kind of look out for each other, which I think is huge, especially because in this, like, living under capitalism, it teaches us that we have to be individuals, that we have to fear each other, almost we have to compete with one another. So of course, we're going to install cameras and, hyper surveillance, like you can't depend on anyone, you just depend on this, like, state-sanctioned violence system instead. Absolutely. But if we are funding real public safety, it gives an opportunity for us to come together. And that's really cool.
It is cool. It is cool. And like, I that one, I always think about my neighbor, Chris. Shout out to Chris. Love him.
Shout out, Chris.
He is so funny. He's like older Black guy. And when I say older, he's like probably like mid-50s, maybe. And whenever something happens in our neighborhood around my house, like somebody came to like fix our window at one point. Shocker, they actually fixed something. But
the one time.
It's been like 3 in the like 5 years we've been there. They actually fix. But it all has to do with like if other people can see it. They don't fix anything inside.
Right.
Anyway, I digress.
You have to see it. And
I gotta see it. They don't care about that. They don't care. But somebody was like fixing our window, and Chris like went over and was like, "Okay, who are you?"
Period.
Da, 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 da. And then when we got home, he was like talking to my husband. He's like, "Yeah, some white man was by your window today." My husband was like, "Chris, no, it's the maintenance man. It's fine. It's fine." He's like, "Oh, okay, cool, all right." Yes. And like it's like that's just one incident, but there's been multiple where he's like, "I just want to let you know,
right?
I thought I was gonna have to do whoop-de-whoop. Yeah. All right, chill out, Chris."
Okay, so I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Yes. I don't gotta worry about nothing.
Exactly.
If I go out of town, hey, Chris
is there.
I'm just so you know, I'm not here. So something go down, please call me.
Please,
like, let me know. I love Chris. But like that's my neighbor, right?
Yeah. And that's
I would never in my life call the cops if something was happening in my house.
Exactly.
Like, or my landlord.
Oh, that part. Never. He won't even come.
He would not come. Would not come. Would not come. Like, it would just be up to me, my husband, and Chris to figure it out. Maybe Chris's wife.
Yeah. Appropriate.
we gotta figure it out. Yeah. No, I love that.
Yes,
But no,
yes.
10-point program.
Very good.
But yeah, 10-point program, of course, based off of the Black Panthers, who were also, as quiet as it's kept, we're Marxist-Leninists, right?
Yes.
We're socialists as well. So
Yes.
this has some roots in socialism.
Yes, 100%. I was reading about their like free food programs. I remember Derek had sent me some readings about it, and it was so good because I wonder actually if I might have it. I had to download the Good Notes app on my phone. I'm an iPad girly now, so I'll be on my iPad. I'll be on my Good Notes. I love
that for you.
But they had talked about like in terms of, again, like when thinking about direct political ed, like, or aid, if we can agree that like kids need free breakfast, then we can agree that they need free lunch and that they need free dinner and that like people need free housing and then free education and then like a government for the people. Like it just kind of expands from there. So again, there's that difference of like with mutual aid, I'm just giving this to you and then that's it, which is, again, not a bad thing. Because that's
absolutely not
great to be helping. However, with like direct political aid, we're like really pulling in the community and really kind of sitting down and being like, okay, how do we sustain each other? How do we grow from here?
Yeah. So it's not like, people in help packages are going up to, people who are unhoused, like, here's some water. And did you know that it's the people who are like creating the packages who are getting that education of like, okay, why are we doing this? Why do we have to do this? Right? Like, what are the systemic issues that are causing us to have to do these things?
Be out here
and
in
the government
place.
is not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We're not going up to unhoused people and like,
I mean, unless they want to hear about
unless
it,
they want
sometimes
to.
they do.
I was about to say that absolutely does happen. They
Yeah.
do sometimes. It's not like hope packages. Like you have a hope package, you give it to the person, you like
run away.
Yeah, right. Like you do have conversations with people. And what I was telling Rissa, so hope packages is actually how I got involved in the center.
Yeah.
I was not trying to join the PSL at first. I had been in some very liberal spaces because I had been organizing when I lived in Chicago, and some pretty liberal spaces. That's the nicest way I'll put it. And I was not interested in reliving that. Like I wanted to do something. I wanted to get involved in something. I was like, yo, socialists in Indiana, what is this?
That's crazy.
I was like, and you have hope packages. Oh my God. I used to do this in Chicago, right? Like I used to, I was raised Catholic. We were talking about this before.
Yes.
I was raised Catholic. Catholics, if you know anything about being raised Catholic, not converting later on in life. I don't know what's going on with the people who converted later on in life. That don't have nothing to do with me. But it's it's different.
Yeah, I bet.
It's different.
I bet.
But being raised Catholic, you're very much taught like you provide service to all of quote unquote mankind, right? Like that is one of the biggest things about being Catholic. And so like that was like hammered into me as a child. And so I went to a Catholic school and we did something, similar to hope packages, go to the ministry center, make sandwiches, put food in the bag, go downtown Chicago, you hand out the food. And I met this man who was like old enough to be my father and I was like 20 and he was like, yeah, I have 2 jobs. And I was like, huh?
Wait, what?
What you mean you got 2 jobs and you homeless? What's going on here?
So you're doing what they're telling you to do to get a job.
Yeah, right? Yeah. You're doing, and I was lucky enough to be raised by, my mother who very much had an attitude of, God gave me this like ability to give to others. So that's what I'm going to do. My mother is a very devout Catholic woman. And, if she's got some money, she got a little extra money and she sees somebody on the corner, here you go.
Yes.
It's not up to me to judge what they do with their money. They do what they need to do. But God sees my heart.
Right.
That's, that's one of my mom's favorite lines. That's one of my mom's favorite lines is God sees my heart. I was like, yes, you're right. Absolutely.
Yes.
And so, I didn't have kind of these, what you hear in the media, which is like people who are homeless don't have jobs, they're on drugs.
Violent, they're dangerous.
Yeah, right. They're crazy, right?
Criminals,
That was not a thing I had, but I obviously had some kind of bias going into that conversation.
Right.
So when he said, I have 2 jobs, I was like,
What?
You got 2 jobs and you're homeless?
Right.
So like at 20, that's when I started questioning, okay, what is going on here?
Yeah, definitely.
What's happening? I was already, I was the year before that Trayvon Martin had been killed.
Yeah.
And so I was already like, all right, I don't think America really likes me that much.
Yeah.
So I was already...
I'm about done with this.
I was already having like that.
Right.
And then,
right.
What you mean you got 2 jobs and you homeless, right?
Yeah.
So it was just...
Yeah. It was like one thing after another.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so like going into this and having... I wish I had, whole packages when I was 20 years old. That would have been amazing to like help me figure out what is going on here systemically, that there are people out here who have 2, 3 jobs and they're still homeless. And it's even, that was 10 plus years ago. Right. Like I'm 33 now. So that was at least 13 years ago. Even worse now, right? We are in an even worse situation now. I've recently had a conversation with my 12-year-old who, if you have spent any time with 12-year-olds,
they are.
My patience is tested.
They are 12
every day.
Yes, I have an 11-year-old client.
My patience is tested every day. And we had to have like a serious conversation about some weird perceptions he had about homeless people.
For sure.
And I recently wrote an analysis piece for the party. So guess what he had to read?
Oh, yeah.
And had to provide a report on.
Good. It was so good.
Thank you. Yeah. So he had to read that. But like we were, afterwards we were having the conversation of like the criminalization of homeless people in Indiana.
It's wild.
Which is wild, which, I want to ask you about, House Bill 285, which is literally making it illegal to be homeless in Indiana.
Yeah.
Can you tell listeners, if they're not familiar, like what is that? What is going on?
Yeah. Well, firstly, it's kind of crazy to be homeless or to be like,
It is crazy to be homeless.
It is crazy to be homeless. Yeah, wait, hold on. That's crazy.
Like that's wild.
First of all.
To live in the richest country.
And then to be
richest country in the world.
Richest country
in the world. And you don't have a place to live.
Right.
What is going on here?
It's also crazy because we have, per Danny's article, we have a large number of vacant homes.
Yeah.
And we actually don't have a very large number of like homeless people in the city. So we could house quite literally all of the homeless people and still have homes left over.
Sure would.
It's wild to criminalize someone for something that is not their fault.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of your guys' fault, actually.
Absolutely.
But it's, projection all the way through. But House Bill 285, this actually, I don't remember what the bill number was last year, but this bill was actually introduced last year.
Okay.
But it was struck down because a lot of people were really upset with the language of the bill. Because straight up, they were like, yeah, homeless people can get a misdemeanor, if they are camping outside or like sleeping anywhere, things like that.
Okay.
So it was very direct of their plan. Yeah. And then it was struck down and then reintroduced because they pretty much kept the same language. They just pushed it further down into the bill.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And they like tried to come up with some different steps, so to speak, before they go to arrest a homeless person. But essentially, this bill pretty much defines a crime concerning unauthorized use of land, like owned by the state or a political subdivision, and trying to essentially prevent homeless people from sleeping in public places. So bridges, parks, benches, things like that. And then also trying to ban encampments altogether. And we know that like our city in particular has definitely seen some encampments pop up over the past like year as well, especially here in Fountain Square. And this bill is very, very harmful because folks have to leave that area within 48 hours. If a police officer were to come up and find them and there's no shelters available, which there probably aren't because there's never any room in the shelters.
Exactly.
And the shelters always have like certain requirements. You can't bring all your things. You can't bring your whole family. Some of them are like faith-based, like there's so many requirements. Then they're given like a warning. I'm saying that in like air quotes, to move. If they find them again, then they give them a misdemeanor, which is wild. And then in the bill as well, once you have been charged with your Class C misdemeanor, you are now eligible for a misdemeanor diversion program. And so, Danny, I don't know if you've ever worked with any clients that have been a part of diversion program for
I have. That's why I was making a face as you said it.
Yes. Because I have to, and I'm just like, that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
When you are enrolled in a diversion program, it's a way to get like the misdemeanor expunged from your record. It's like a year program. You are required to engage in like a substance use assessment and or like some sort of like mental health, anger management screening, engage in whatever recommendations that like provider gives you, pay program fees. Like $500 of program fees, unless you're like indigenous. Okay. Yeah,
I got you.
Okay, thank you. I was like, how do you say that? Pay those program fees, do community service, like, just show up for court. It's all these things that just, I could not imagine being a homeless person and then getting a misdemeanor for being homeless.
And first off, there's so many things to like.
Oh much.
There's so many points in there of like, first off, I'm gonna give you a misdemeanor because you're homeless instead of, I don't know, giving them a place to live.
Right.
This is very similar to how I feel when, DCS. I was contracted with DCS for 5-6 years, and so I have a lot of issues with DCS.
Yes, same.
But, children can be taken away from you because you're homeless.
Yes.
And not just taken away from you, but they're given to, I was going to say strangers, which they are strangers typically, but like, foster care.
Yeah.
And
or shelter.
Foster care then gets money to care for your child.
Yes. Yeah.
Instead of,
yeah,
oh man, you're homeless and you have children.
Right.
Let's give you money to care for your child.
Right.
No, let's like actually just traumatize the entire family.
Yes. Split the family up.
And then give money to like.
Yes.
Like what are like. Yeah. And so then we have this, right? You get a misdemeanor for being unhoused.
Yes.
But you can go to a program where you have to pay hundreds of dollars in fees,
right? That you don't have
because you're homeless.
Yes, literally.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
If I don't have money for a bed,
okay,
somewhere to sleep,
or even like a motel for the night, things like that,
then I probably don't have money for this misdemeanor program,
right? And I'm not going to probably complete the program successfully either, which is like you have to complete the program successfully to get it expunged, or there's more
because
like, charges.
You probably have 2-3 jobs.
Yes,
you're trying to like get to work. You're trying to like eat.
Right.
You are still trying to get housing.
Yes.
Right. Like because you can't be unhoused.
Nope.
Because you could get another misdemeanor, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? So
like.
This is a setup.
Yes, yeah.
This is a setup.
It's crazy. It's such a setup.
I don't know, man. It sounds like y'all don't want y'all don't want us to win.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Definitely.
it sounds like you don't want people to win. That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very insane. It's so harmful, and it's just very tone deaf to
Absolutely.
what people are facing in the city. And it's very disheartening to see that like this bill unfortunately came back around and was like successfully passed. Especially because this bill comes from like a conservative think tank in Texas called the Cicero Institute. And they're a social policy program. I'm putting huge air quotes over social policy. But they have a number of different kind of like plug and chug bills, like a one size fits all bill.
Okay.
So that's actually where Indiana got this bill from. Like it is already pre-made, probably by AI.
Wow.
I found it. I was like, y'all are too lazy to just write your own bills.
Wow.
Like at this point, if you're gonna criminalize, like put the work in. Like what the heck? Like
we don't even get you like trying.
No,
so, like you just like AI.
AI. Yes.
Hey,
And they just
wow.
plug and chug. Like you
Wow.
put your state's name. Like it's insane. And they have this for a number of different like social issues, I would say, on their website. There's homelessness, there's stuff around addictions, there's stuff around mental health, and housing, and all of it is very skewed, and it's very blaming the individual, not so much the system at large. And it's very evil. It's very, very evil. I was doing some research, digging around some more on the website, looking at like the board, who sits on the board.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, very scary. But the CEO, or the chairman of the board, I guess, Joe Lonesdale, is the co-founder of Palantir, which is a big tech company that U.S. and Israel has been using over the past couple years to
Shocker.
genocide people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow.
It's really crazy. And
Wow.
Joe Lonesdale, like his net worth is like $2.6 billion.
Billion with a B.
Yes. Billion with a B.
So, he could use that money to like,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do with all that money?
What are you going to do with that money?
Like, you could just help people instead of using AI
Okay.
to
write your bill.
to criminalize.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
But
wild
it's
to me.
also just like not a coincidence either, right? With just, I think like with the heightened surveillance, AI being used so much within like military weaponry, I mean, and even within like our own policing.
Yep.
So it just makes so much sense. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably going to get to a point where it'll be very easy for officers to track, unhoused people in the city.
For sure.
Just by using that technology, which is really unfortunate. And then also too in the bill, police officers are required to report how many arrests and citations they have given for the year.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a quota.
Oh, for sure.
There's a quota that they have to meet.
Yeah.
Which means they're going to be out here making sure that they are catching
everyone,
quote unquote, catching
people.
Yeah. Right. I used to be the director for a clubhouse, which we're not going to get into the clubhouse model, but so we use the term members, not clients there. But we had a member there who was unhoused for a period of time, and I've actually talked about him on this podcast before because he's just like so funny. He's just he's such a character. He's like 6'3" Puerto Rican bald guy, and he has a super long beard that he braids.
Oh, stop! If I had a beard, I would braid it.
He's oh my god, he's so funny. But he was unhoused for a period of time, and I remember he would come in on his bike every day, and he would talk about like the encampment he was in. And like what his role was in the encampment and how they kept each other safe and what they would do. And it was really like a community.
Yes.
And obviously we were working with him like, okay, we got to find you a place to live. We got to do something here to like get you off the street. But like, I remember having those conversations with him and just like being fascinated by like the camaraderie of the encampment and just like, this is what we do to keep the women safe. This is what we do to keep each other safe. You know,
Wow, I love that. I love it.
you know, but I'm thinking about like going in and, you know, being unhoused is one of the most vulnerable places you can be.
Yes.
You know, like I literally don't have a roof over my head right now. I'm thinking also as a woman, like I have decided to go into this encampment and trust these people with my life, with my safety. And let's say you find a good group of people, which hopefully you do, and you've built this trust with them, and then a cop comes in and is like, yeah, within the next 48 hours, y'all gotta leave. Y'all gotta get out of here. You gotta figure something else out. And if you don't, then you can just go to jail.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's so wild. And like, I mean, obviously, of course, my therapy brain is like just immediately going to like, what does that do for like the body and the brain?
Absolutely.
And like, it just makes me so angry, especially because knowing that like the billionaires behind this are not only causing violence like across the world, but also literally causing violence within our own city. But yeah, to be homeless is very, very vulnerable. Like you are constantly thinking about where am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? Where am I going to sleep? I need a shower, things like that. And just depending on the circumstances, I mean, there's so much that you have to think about. And yeah, if you get to an encampment where you feel safe, which like even then is like, what is really even safe for me? Yeah, like I might not even know what safety is at this point. And then you're just up, you're ready to go. Like you're just constantly in hypervigilance.
Absolutely. That's
insane.
exactly the word that I was thinking of. Right? Constant, not to quote Harry Potter, but like, you know, constant vigilance. Literally constant vigilance the entire time. And then the state, and when I say the state, I'm not just talking about Indiana, but like, you know, the government, the state is then making it even harder.
Yes.
So for you as, you know, coordinator for Hope Packages, but also like you as a social worker, what are you doing? What can we do? What is your role here?
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly, I was a little kind of like frozen, I think like last week or the week before when I did hear the news, because it was just like, because I'm a social worker, because we're doing this work. And it's like, crap, we like didn't defeat this bill, you know, like just in the midst of everything else. I think it really just drives me to be fighting harder. And to really make sure that I'm going out of my way, especially when I see unhoused people. They come up to me at the gas station, you know, having that conversation with them, giving them money, whatever it is, just trying to like pay it forward in that way to know like, hey, I see you, I'm here. There are like safe people here. But I think it just motivates us to really charge after like, how do we make sure that this does not get way out of hand? I mean, it's only been active for a couple of weeks, so I'm not sure how things are going to play out. But I know that as Hope Packages, we really want to be amplifying this a lot so that folks are aware, that they know what's going on. And because again, like homelessness, you are one missed paycheck away from being homeless.
Look, I was just telling you before, today I was like, I had to finagle some money.
Right.
I had to move around some things so I could make sure I got to pay my half of the rent, you know? Right? Like I cannot, it literally.
Yes, you're not.
It's just, I used to be like, it's a couple missed paychecks, but really it really could just be one. It really, at this point, you know?
It really can.
It's rough out here.
It is.
It's rough.
It really is. When I lived alone last year, like my paycheck, my rent was like majority of my paycheck. And I would have maybe $300, $400 to carry me over into the next 2 weeks. But I would think about like, if I didn't get this, like maybe I'd be on the street. Yeah. I would be out there. Yep. Like, absolutely. That's insane. That's so insane. So like really waking up the community to like, this is not just, you know, it doesn't just happen if you have addiction or have like, you know, extreme mental health or, you know, just other life circumstances like this could literally happen. They're trying and they're squeezing us. They're squeezing the life out of us right now already with the AES bills and gas and everything like that. But yeah, as Hope Packages, we really want to amplify this message, educate the people. We'll be putting an article out later this weekend, hopefully, about this a little bit more. You got to now because I know because I said it. And I told Lindsay this yesterday. I was like, I got to put that article out because, the timing. But yes.
And even with, you know, you said mental health and like, right, I'm a therapist, you're a therapist. So, you know, mental health is something that's near and dear to my heart and yours. But even with something that I loved about working at the clubhouse was that it was, you know, it's a community of people, right? And community is so important. Yes. And if we had, you know, a safety net or the services in place for people who, you know, even if it is mental health related, why maybe you couldn't go to work for, you know, for a little bit or whatever the case may be. Like there should be protections. There should be protections in place for people to not be homeless because, you know, they have, you know, chronic anxiety or they have depression or they have PTSD or, you know, whatever the case may be, schizophrenia, you know, like
they still deserve a house.
You still deserve a house. You still deserve some place to live.
Yes.
You know, it's wild. That's a hot take right now.
It is. It really is.
Like you deserve a place to live. I was telling Rissa because I'm wearing my Tupac hoodie right now and I love Tupac. One of my favorite Geminis.
Yes.
And he did an interview at one point where he was talking about how he would give money to homeless people. And he, you know, he was like, I have millions of dollars. Like, you know.
Yes.
That is, you know, and this is, I'm not going to quote it exactly, but like, he was like, that would be ridiculous to have all of this money and I'm not giving it back to the community. And it's not my place. This is Tupac. But I also agree, which is why I'm saying it. Like, this is not it's not my place to say if this person should not go spend it on alcohol or on weed or, you know, whatever the case may be. Like, and he says, and he's like, he probably needed more than I do. You know, which is, they don't have no place to live,
for
man.
sure.
Like, you know, like look, I've gotten drunk for less. Okay. You know, like, you know, I'm in my sobriety period right now, but
we're sober.
But like, like the idea that like, oh, you're doing drugs, honey, you're worth $2.4 billion. Okay. I'm sure.
Okay.
You done something.
The purest of cocaine, probably.
Look, don't.
what can $2.4 billion buy?
Don't come for us, please. Like,
what?
You know, like
it's insane.
That is. I can't cuss on here. That is ridiculous.
Really think about it.
That's ridiculous to be like, these people are on drugs.
Yes,
and, you know, and they're crazy, so they don't. What?
Yeah,
like,
it's so insane.
That is not a valid reason for someone to not have housing. You know what is a valid reason?
Tell us.
Nothing. That's why I'm quiet.
Exactly.
Like, you know that part where Cardi B like, name 5 Bia songs. Like,
and she's quiet.
Exactly. That's me right now.
Oh my gosh.
I have no answer for you. Right.
None.
There is no valid reason why someone
should not
have a place to live. That's
exactly. It's insane.
You know, I feel like even Republicans should have a place to live, depending on the Republican. You know. Yeah. No, I got to stand on business. I think everybody deserves a place to live.
Everyone needs a house.
Everyone deserves a place.
Sure.
I got to stand on business.
It's that stereotype is so old too. I don't know. I'm like, I feel like I don't know. It's like when like people like, I don't even know, just use that racist stereotype against Black people of like, oh, like the like fried chicken and watermelon. I'm like, baby, please. Like, that's such a good, it's old. Like, come on now. Same thing with, you know, they're just, they're dangerous. They're on drugs. It's crazy. And that's what they were really emphasizing on the Cicero Institute website. And they were like, like these far left, you know, and nonprofit organizations want you to believe that like we could end homelessness if we like do a housing first type of program. And I'm like,
You could.
we could. We literally could. And I like was talking to Derek about it, and he was like, yeah, but that's like a pipe dream because that's what we've never been able to do it. Like we can like end homelessness for sure. We can house all the people, but they don't want to.
And countries have done it, right?
Right.
There have been countries that have shown that actually you can
We can do this.
You know, Venezuela is one that has done it.
Yes.
Cuba has done it.
Yes.
You know, like you know.
They literally abolished landlords.
Like, come on.
Come on now.
Come on.
Get
Get out of here.
Like,
Get out of
what?
here.
I would love to not have a landlord. Like that's
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Because mine don't do anything.
Okay. Yeah, yours definitely
that would
doesn't.
be great.
Not coming to help you.
Not at all.
Nothing
Not
at
at all.
all.
Not
Yeah.
at
It's
all,
just
man.
it's
Yeah,
wild.
that
People
would be
need
great.
they need housing. They need that's just shelter is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. I know that like I've done a couple of assessments for services, especially with like probation, for people who are homeless, and I never recommend services. And like I've definitely gotten some emails from probation officers, and I'm like, sorry, baby, that's my clinical recommendation.
I love pulling that out.
Me too.
You know, like I not necessarily homelessness, but like I was like 8 months pregnant, so I was not with the shits anyway. But I was working with these kids, and their dad lost custody of them because I want to say he might have been like doing meth or something, and like he was having auditory hallucinations. And they asked me in court, you know, should he get his kids back even though he has auditory hallucinations? Now, if they had asked me, should he get his kids back when he's doing drugs in front of them?
Right.
That's a totally different question.
Right.
It's a totally different question.
Right.
No, you should not do drugs in front of your children.
Please don't.
Don't do that. Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But the question was, should he get his kids back even though he has auditory hallucinations? That is not a valid reason to not have your children.
Right.
And the lawyer looked at me, and I looked at the lawyer.
Oh my gosh.
And they repeated the question. You're saying that
Yes, those DCS lawyers.
you should have your children even if you have hallucinations, unless the hallucinations are telling him to harm his children.
Yes. Yeah, literally.
That is not a valid reason
Right.
to not
have your children.
custody of your
Yes.
children.
Yeah.
No further questions, Your Honor. It's like,
I love it. Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. But I also, my background is in working with adults with chronic and severe mental health conditions.
Yeah.
I did that before I worked with kids.
Yeah.
Like I was working with people
Right.
who were having auditory
You're like,
hallucinations.
trust me.
It's like, like there. It's fine.
Like
I mean, what is it saying?
Right.
You know, like I was like, you're not good at your job.
No.
You're not good at your
They're-
job.
none
You
of
could
them
have
are.
asked me. You could have asked me a couple of different things that I would have been like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
he should not have his kids
For
back.
sure.
But
For
you
sure.
didn't.
You didn't. You asked me that one.
You asked me that question.
I love it.
That's not no, because
Yeah.
this person has a mental illness.
Exactly.
That is not a valid
Not a
reason.
valid reason.
That they.
Yeah.
And he didn't even have mental illness. He was high as hell.
Yeah.
was high.
That's like
Like,
those
I
are
was like-
substance induced like
I was like,
hallucinations.
that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
valid.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Man, I'll never forget that. Yeah, I was 8 months pregnant, and I was like, I gotta pee. And he
Like, I'm
asking
tired
me,
of
you
this.
asking me about.
Yeah. Oh
Come
boy.
on,
like just
man.
stop traumatizing this
Like,
family.
I was like,
yeah.
come on. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it was
it's-
messed up. It was messed up.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
What do you feel like? I feel the need to point out, I also saw this TikTok like literally today, and it's this woman who lives, I'm going to say Africa because she doesn't put like what country she lives in, which is fine. But she like does these TikToks in her village, and like she always, people be asking her like the most wild questions,
I
like,
bet. Oh my
do you have a
gosh.
bathroom that
Okay,
flushes?
you know,
like,
pack it up.
like, what?
Open the schools.
Like, look. But somebody asked her like, oh, do you pay? No, they asked her, does she pay rent? She's like, no, like we all own our homes.
Okay.
And then the next question was like, are there homeless people in your village? And she's like,
What is it? Probably what does that mean?
she's like, in Africa, we don't even know what homeless is.
Okay.
She's just like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, no, baby. Because
exactly.
if you don't have a place to live, we'll just build one.
Okay.
Let's just build one for
Right.
you. Or you can come live with me.
Come live with me. Yes.
Or, like,
yes.
she's like, her response was just so funny.
I love
but it
that.
was like,
No,
I
that's
was
amazing.
like- and I watched that and I was like, I have been robbed.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I literally have been,
Yeah.
but I'm just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
y'all brought me over here.
Yeah.
Y'all brought my people over here
Yeah.
to do, I can't cuss on here, to do, to commit atrocities.
Yes.
But I also could have had my own
My
home,
own home.
not be paying rent.
Right.
You know,
Be
like,
in nature. Chilling.
Chilling.
Yeah.
Making fun of Americans on TikTok.
Okay. Eating good food.
Like,
Yeah.
I have been
Robbed,
robbed,
for sure.
you know,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
Been
Definitely.
robbed, yeah.
And that communal type of living is so cool because it's not rooted in like private property or capital or, it's just like we're all out here trying to survive together, which is how things were before patriarchy,
Yeah, like just happy Women's History Month.
Right, right.
Like just,
yes. Yes.
How do you feel like how people who are listening, how can we get involved? There's so much happening.
Gosh,
You said it. You said it before of like, this is just on top of everything else that we're going through, which is on purpose, right? Like when we have like a war happening, we have a genocide happening, when we have, AES is robbing everybody,
everyone,
right
but can't
now,
even stand 10 toes down at their
like,
community meetings because they got so many threats.
Come on now, like
my mom would have been the one to be up there threatening
me and
like,
your mama. Cause
don't play with
why
debts.
is my bill $600?
Okay. Yeah, my mom was bad, and rightfully so.
Happening?
Yeah.
So like, there's so much happening right now. This has happened like 3 times in my life. Yesterday, I was like doing supervision with somebody, and I was like, "Hang on, there's a turtle in the road." And I parked my car so I could move the turtle.
Aww.
And that's happened like 3 times in my life, which is like
interesting,
weird. There's something there.
There is turtle in like 3. Okay,
there's something there. I was talking to my mom and my husband about it because like, if you know me, I'm an animal person. I love animals. I have my own turtle actually.
Yes.
And I was talking to my the person I was doing supervision with was like, wow, that was like, Black people so funny. She was like, that was very kind of you. And I was like, I know you want to say something else. It's fine,
it's
so
funny.
And I was like, yeah, I love animals, whatever. And like, this has always been like a thing for me my entire life. I love animals. And I was talking to my husband and he was like, and I was like, I think it's so interesting that like stereotypically Black people don't really mess with animals like that.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, because of oppression. And he's like, you want me to care about this animal and people don't even care about me,
Okay, yeah,
And I was like,
okay.
like there might be something to that, there might be something to that.
Okay, give me a statement on that. I'll read through it.
Yeah. I was like, there's probably something to that.
Right.
But I think of that the way I feel about homeless people.
Right.
There's a thread here. I swear.
Okay, but I know I'm following you. Yeah.
But like, we like this little turtle in the street. Like my mom was like, you could have just went around it. I was like, there was a semi truck coming.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. Let me get out, move this turtle, right? And like, there are a lot of things happening. There's so much happening, right? But like, it's not that hard to just like be kind. It's to just like take a second, and like think about somebody else.
Yes.
There's so much happening globally, nationally,
right?
But like. And I feel like they kind of just like slid this bill in there
because they definitely
because
did.
There's so much happening that people are not paying attention.
Yes.
Right? Like y'all paying attention to what's going on in Israel, you're paying attention to Iran, you're paying attention to, Ukraine, you're paying attention to Venezuela, right? Like you're not paying attention to the homeless people who live here in your city, in your state,
Right.
Because I gotta pay my light bill.
Right.
I gotta pay my rent. Well, we can also still care about our neighbors, our unhoused neighbors.
Right.
We can still care about them. We can still show up for them. So how how can people get involved?
Yeah. There's so many ways, but specifically with Hope Packages. So we do a event every month. We do an assembly and a distribution of our care packages, pretty much on the third Sunday of every month, where we will kind of, look at our 10-point program, maybe pick something from that 10-point program, or look at what's going on, locally, nationally, globally. How does that connect to the work that we're doing, today? Again, kind of providing that political ed. And then having our organizers and volunteers all kind of work together on a nice little assembly line, putting all the packages together. And then just sometimes, depending on pace of event, we'll probably all go out and do a distribution. We ask folks to take a couple bags with you before you leave. Sometimes, I know a couple weeks ago, Jade and I, we had actually waited to do our distribution, so we didn't do it in the same day. But she was able to go out and distribute into Luker Plaza,
nice.
Which was great. It was so great. So if folks are super interested in doing that work, definitely check us out on the IndieLiberationCenter.org. We do have our own little page on there. We got some articles, and there should be a link to sign up to sustain, donate, be a volunteer. But definitely come to the center, come to an event, do something with us, especially if you feel frozen and immobile of what's going on. It might seem as though you putting together a knapsack that has, water bottle, socks, gloves, whatever in it is obviously it's not going to stop Trump's crazy regime happening. However, it is that paying it forward, that kindness, that resistance of I could either sit here and just let things pass me by, or I could join in with folks that are trying to actively build a community that's going to survive once capitalism does not.
Absolutely. And maybe you said this, how frequently do those?
Yes, yeah. Our assemblies are once a month, or the third Sunday of every month. Yeah, at 1 p.m. We got one this month on the 22nd of March. So I'm super excited.
Is that going to be, where is that going to be?
Yes, that will be here at the Indie Liberation Center, 1619 Prospect Street. I don't know our zip code, but.
That's okay. Okay. That's fine. Okay. Dope. Yeah, that was dope. I mean, any last things that you want to leave listeners with?
Yeah. I think the one thing that I'll say is that, again, it's not hard to be kind. Really just taking that time out of your day, even if it's just smiling at someone, talking to the cashier at the grocery store, giving, someone that you see at the gas station $2. But all of us have power.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't let this system, this flooding the system, the shock to the system overwhelm you. It's definitely, it's overwhelming us. But the challenge is to keep showing up, to keep fighting back, to keep resisting. And it's always the people that are going to come out on top. And we would love to see you out there and doing the work with us. So, yeah. And
it is overwhelming if you're by yourself.
It is. It is. So come join a community.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay. Dope. I think this was beautiful. And,
Me too.
Hopefully y'all are still here with us.
Yeah, I know we yapped. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, I think this was, I think this was all really good information. Good. This is what happens when you put two therapists together and you're do this interview. And I'm so sorry to our producers, Lucas and Dakota.
We love you guys.
Really, Lucas, because Lucas is the one who's going to have to edit this.
It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be great.
It is going to be beautiful and great. But Lucas and Dakota keep being Danny, 15, 20-minute interviews. And I'm
it's great. No, this was perfect.
So sorry, comrades. Yeah. No, this was dope. This was beautiful. And I think listeners are going to really appreciate this information. So thank you so much, comrade, for being here. This was dope. All right, y'all. We will be right back after this break.
Welcome back to Naptown People's Radio. That was a really great interview, Danny, and thank you to Rissa for coming in and for taking the Helms of Hope packages, which is, I think, really one of the longest continuously running mutual aid or, really political direct aid programs in the city, which is, I'm not going to say anything more about it because I'd just be mansplaining. So
let's not do that.
But it's actually, I'm not going to say anything more about it because everything was covered in the interview.
Rissa did. Yeah, that was a great interview. So hopefully everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah. And, throughout the years, there have been various women who have taken the lead. It's actually, looking back on it, primarily been women who have been the leads and one board of directors. Yep. So that's not a coincidence. So before we wrap up here, I did want to announce that the Indianapolis Liberation Center, of which we are a founding and member organization, has officially announced that it is accepting applications for its summer internship program, which is open to high school, undergraduate, and graduate students. So if you're looking for work that's meaningful, that is in line with what you hear on this podcast, the guest work that you hear on this podcast, aka those whom we interview, who are part of the center and who are affiliated or aligned with the center's work, we encourage you to apply, whether you're in art, graphic design, if you're in philanthropy, if you're in, literature, music, peace and conflict studies.
Social work. Yep. Okay. Yep. No.
Hospitality, sociology, gender studies, whatever, communications, on the podcast, you can come, intern on the podcast. We'd love to have you. Intern at the bookstore. We'd love to have you. So really, whatever your disciplinary focus, you'll gain relevant and valuable knowledge and experience by working with people who are, in the trenches, and also, it's a warm, friendly, fun, dynamic environment to work in, be a part of. I love coming here. Yeah. I have to be dragged out of here sometimes.
That is not an over-exaggeration, actually. I'm glad. We're working on it.
We are. I'm getting better. Actually, I can't judge that, but I hope to get better. I hope I'm getting better. But
you are. Yes.
So, we're open all kind of applications, and historically, summer interns have received college credit. So, if you're in college, you can go to Handshake, which is what most colleges use for the official application. You can also find it on the website. It's on the homepage of the Liberation Center's website. So, we hope to, see and meet some of the listeners out there this summer and build with you and advance the struggle for liberation for all.
Absolutely.
That's it for this episode of Naptown People's Radio. If you found today's discussion useful, pass it on, leave a comment, or show some love by donating at support.pslindianapolis.org and by shopping at indieliberationstore.com or coming in. The road ahead is long, but we walk it together. Study with your comrades, build with your community, and always remember, theory without action is paralysis, but action without theory is chaos. Once again, I'm your host, Derek Ford, here with my comrade and co-host,
Danny Abdullah.
Stay dangerous, stay disciplined, and stay in the struggle.
We say all power to the people. That means that we are our own liberators. We don't depend on nobody else. We depend on ourselves. We take responsibility for ourselves, and therefore we step up for our organization. Those that have proven by their actions and their practice that they represent for us. All power to the people in peace.
Collaboration. We act as if there's a scarcity of rights. If gay people get rights, women can't have rights. But that's not true. A victory for one is a victory for all. As Danny's just saying, And
you talk about people being fearless in the face of whoever there is. They don't care. To the Liberation Center, I'll say, this is what we need.